Welcome back to another episode of Believe in TCU. I'm Zion Trammell here with Seth Dowdle today on this Victory Monday, Cyber Monday, Victory Monday for the TCU Horned Frogs. Football team picked up a 45-23 win over the Cincinnati Bearcats on Saturday in their final home game, final regular season game of the year. Probably the most complete effort we've seen from the Horned Frogs maybe this entire season, at least since the UNC or maybe the SMU game. It was a surprising effort, to say the least. I think nobody saw this kind of performance from the offense. I don't think anyone saw that coming. And it was a great win and good way to end out the regular season, Seth.
Yeah, for sure. You're right. Definitely didn't see it coming per se. We had, gone on here the last month or so. It felt like ever since November started and just kind of been like, this offense is what it is. It's just going to be a struggle fest for pretty much the rest of the year is probably what it feels like. But hey, they picked up right where they left off in October, pretty much, or like middle of October. After before the bye week, and scored a lot of points. Looked really good doing it. Didn't turn it over. Got lucky a couple of times with some good bounces on a fumble. Recovering one in the end zone actually as well. Played pretty good defense too. Put Cincinnati in a blender for a lot of the game and played good special teams too. It was a really good all around effort for TCU in their final regular season game of the year, and that is encouraging. That makes you feel good inside, but it also makes you a little frustrated knowing that this was in them the entire time. And it makes you look back at some of the clunkers with a little bit more of a quizzical eye, especially that Iowa State game where you're like, where was that during that? Because if we were sitting here talking about a 9-3 season instead of an 8-4 season, I think we'd be a whole lot happier. But I'm never going to complain about a TCU win, especially one as dominating as this. But still, I think it needs to come with a little bit of a caveat that this season was still a disappointment. And the fact that this performance came at this time is cool, but also a little bit disappointing.
I totally am right there with you. Great way to end the season with two straight wins, beating Houston, beating Cincinnati. But yeah, I think the outlook of this season would be a little bit different had they picked up a win or two, and we could talk about that a little bit more later. But Sonny Dykes did mention that in the post game press conference. This isn't just us complaining or being unrealistic. He said that they felt that they could have done this a little bit more consistently this year. And that is kind of the frustrating part of it. Maybe we just needed a lightning delay. That's maybe exactly what TCU did because the last time they got one against Baylor, I mean, they almost blew it, but they
almost
still
blew it. But that was their best game that they played objectively since, in the past month and a half was the Baylor game.
Yeah. It was an hour and a half rain delay. I was really worried that after that point, because TCU went up 7-0, and once again the offense got off to a quick start. It's good to see that adjustments are being made over these last 2 weeks. Figuring out those early game woes, being able to string together some consistency on the offense. They not only put up 7, not 14, they put up 21 in that first quarter. And 2 of those touchdown drives came after the lightning delay, which was really an encouraging sign. Could have maybe seen a little bit, slowing down a little bit after that lightning delay, but they picked up right where they left off, and that was fun to see. Josh Hoover just sling it across the yard all day long. It was fun.
One of his best. You know what? I might even go as far to say that this was the best game of his season.
I agree.
19-22, super efficient. The throws were on point. I mean, there was one crosser that he threw to Eric McAllister kind of in the red zone. Well, he threw it from TC was on the 40 or whatever. The McAllister caught it inside the red zone. It was throws like that make me just kind of kick my feet up and giggle a little bit because it was just so good.
Yeah.
And it's what we know that he can do. And it goes back to the same thing I said about the team as a whole, where you watch him sometimes make decisions. It's not about lack of talent or, arm strength or anything like that. Most of the times when Josh is making bad decisions or like when he's playing bad, it's because of what's happening above his shoulders, not below it. And so it was really refreshing to see him make good decisions, sharp throws, get the ball out on time. There was a couple times where I thought he could have run, but that's me nitpicking. He played really, really well. And I don't know what the future holds. There's rumors and nastiness as it comes to quarterbacks in the transfer portal around this time of year. I don't know what the future holds for Josh at TCU, but he played a really good game on Saturday.
He did. Really closed out the season well. Threw more touchdown passes than incompletions. 4 touchdowns, 1 to Eric McAllister, 2 to Jordan Dwyer, even though one of them was recovered in the end zone. You mentioned that play. That was an absolute game changer. The play we're talking about happened in the third quarter where it looked like Joseph Manjack was going to just rumble down to at least the goal line or potentially score. And instead, I'm trying to remember. Oh, wait, no. Yeah, it was in the third quarter. So TC was up 31-17. Manjack's going to rumble down to the goal line. Cincinnati defender knocks the ball loose, and it's on the ground for like what felt like an eternity. Keeps on rolling into the end zone, and Jordan Dwyer falls on top of it for a touchdown, and TCU goes up 38-17. Absolute game changer. Would have really shifted the momentum to Cincinnati if they were able to fall on top of that. Instead, TCU gets 6, and that kind of felt like the dagger almost.
That was the game right there for sure. Especially with how Cincinnati was moving the ball at that point. Like, it was very sporadic whether or not they were going to be able to, mount that big of a comeback. And they weren't, obviously. That play was crazy. And kind of like, felt like a pendulum swing in the other direction of TCU bad turnover luck. TCU's had a couple fumbles hit the ground in the red zone last month. Iowa State, Houston, this one, and they usually don't fall on them.
Yeah.
They fell on this one. And
they
have liked them to fall on the other ones maybe a little bit more, particularly the one against Iowa State? Yeah. But sure, I'll take this one, I guess. It felt like it kind of felt like this game was just kind of unloading a lot of the frustration over the past month into just one game. And it also kind of felt like that the second they got the monkey off their back last week, they just got to win. It didn't matter how it happened. They just beat Houston. It was hideous. It was ugly. We came on the show and we said that none of the problems have been fixed. They got lucky to win that game. It kind of felt like the second they just got that win, they sang Sweet Caroline on the bus, they got back to Fort Worth, and they just were able to be calm, cool, collected, do what they know they could do.
The vibes returned. They returned to Fort Worth. You played at home in front of the fans. That wasn't many of them, but they were there.
They were there. And guess where it all turned? Guess where this season turned? The vibes, at least. And we talk about this in the preseason, Zion. The vibes were pretty good after that Baylor game, even though like it was weird. Like they were what, 6-2? They were 6-2.
Yeah.
6-2. Heading into Morgantown. And that's where the vibes went all bad and haywire. I'm telling you, they won in Morgantown, but everything got worse the second they stepped foot into West Virginia. And we talked about that in the preseason. I thought they were going to lose to West Virginia just because that's what happens in Morgantown. But apparently what actually happened was the season was lost in West Virginia.
It just got all weird after that. I don't get it. Like they left Morgantown and like the fans there like attached some weird virus onto TCU and like this will only last 2 games and well mainly 3, but you'll win one of them.
2.5 games.
Yeah, 2.5 games.
But the other half is the second quarter of the Houston game.
Yeah, the
second half.
Yeah, they can't make it too obvious. They just had to make it a little weird. But yeah, it's so weird how things kind of changed, and it's unfortunate that it couldn't have been gone a little bit better heading into this, because we talked about this final 4 game stretch as being incredibly important, and we mentioned 2-2 being on the table. I just don't think we thought it would be the like this would be the outcome where it'd be wins over Houston and Cincinnati, and you lose to Iowa State, you get blown out by BYU. I don't. I'm not sure if that's the outcome that we all thought would happen, but it could have been a lot worse. TCU could have easily been 6-6, and the vibes would be insanely low right now. Instead, they didn't. They went 2-2 and ended with the same record that they finished with last year. So it's not a better result. Could have, but it also could have been worse. So you just kind of shrug your shoulders, like, okay.
It does feel slightly worse because you finished with a worse conference record than you did last year by 1 game. Um, you also finished lower in the standings. Again, this was a weird season, and we've already documented how and why this season was a disappointment and why it was a failure in many regards. Um, that has been well documented. I do think that it was fun to see them like have a good game, and you could tell that it meant a lot to the seniors, especially. The broadcast really highlighted Chase Curtis a lot, which I thought was really cool, even though he didn't get a catch. Had some good blocks though, and like just like that, I think it was good for them. And I don't know what the bowl game will look like in terms of like who's going to play in that, or even what that is, what game that's going to be, like who TCU is going to play in that bowl game. I would imagine Eric McAllister is not involved in that. At least I would tell him not to be if I were him. But you know who is going to be involved? TCU's got a running back, folks.
They
And
do.
it's not Kavorian Barnes. Get out of here. Go. Just kidding. You can stay. But 174 yards for Jeremy Payne.
He's been a bright spot at the end of this season for the Horned Frogs. He set career highs across the board: carries, rushing yards, receiving yards, and touchdowns. An all-time performance there from career day for Jeremy Payne. It's been fun. Yeah, I mean, we talked about the running game, how, oh man, we lost Kavorian Barnes and Trent Battle is out. Uh-oh, this isn't going to be great. Jeremy Payne said, I got this, guys. And the offensive line said, we got you. We got you, Jeremy. We're going to block for you. And they did that. And it was so much fun to watch TCU find ways to pick up chunks on the ground, get push. You mentioned that against Houston, they were winning at the line of scrimmage multiple times, and then they did it again against Cincinnati. A lot of credit obviously goes to the offensive line, but TCU, if Jeremy Payne sticks around, I think there's your running back next year, your starting running back.
Yeah, I think so as well. I like it. I like it a lot. Speaking of running, Cincinnati didn't do it at all, and I was very impressed with. Like, I think I was expecting, because Tawi Walker and Evan Pryor had really good years, by far like one of the best two-headed monsters in the conference, and held them to 48 and 8 yards respectively. Pretty good. Like, the leading rusher for Cincinnati was Brendan Sorsby. Like, if you told me that coming into the game, I think I would have said that TCU wins this one. If Sorsby is the leading rusher, so super impressed with the defensive effort in this one. I think you could tell right from the jump that they were amped up and ready to go too. Got a 4th down stop on the opening possession. Forced a 3 and out on the next one. It was impressive for sure.
It was good. Yeah, Brennan Sorsby, he played pretty solid. I will give him that. He played a really good game, 282 yards, 3 touchdowns. I think he started like 12 of 12.
Yeah.
But they weren't moving the ball efficiently. They scored on 2 consecutive drives, I think, in the second quarter, but in between that was Jordan Dwyer scoring a 70-yard touchdown. So it was the offense saying, okay, defense gave up a couple scores, but we're going to play complementary football and we're going to help you guys out a little bit. So, yeah, defense played well, and it's just been a consistency all season long outside of 1 or 2 games. It's been really good stuff from Andy Avalos and the defensive unit. And I don't really have much else to say. I think from Paul Oyewale got a sack.
Look at that.
That was cool. I don't know how many sacks. I don't know if he has a sack this season. I could be wrong. But Devin Deal got a sack as well. I know he's had a couple at least. But
you know what I want to harp on? Anyone that I haven't done deep research on this, but I just know that this has to be the lead. Maybe the Abilene Christian game is different. TCU held the ball for 40 minutes.
Come on, Seth. Let's go. Time of possession winners.
TCU rarely wins the time of possession, even when they win the game. It's because of how they operate. They like to move the ball quick. They like to get up the line. They don't like to, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But 37 minutes and 55 seconds to 22:05, that makes my heart a little happy. I'm going to check to see if that's like the what was it in the North Carolina game?
It was awesome.
Minutes. North Carolina. Anyway, yeah, awesome stuff.
There are 2 offenses that like to play fast, but TCU said we are going to dominate. What was that face for?
TCU lost the time of possession battle to Abilene Christian by like 14 minutes.
What? What happened in that game? That game feels like a weird fever dream. I don't know.
They won it against SMU. They definitely lost it against Arizona State, right? They definitely did. Oh yeah, by quite a bit. Anyway, it's not necessarily indicative of how TCU wins football games because that's not how they run their offense. But maybe they should. I don't know. It felt good.
Maybe they should. Maybe they want to rethink their offensive identity next year because the way that they played on Saturday, winning time of possession like that, being able to feed Jeremy Payne as much as they did, 26 times. Nate Palmer got 8 carries. John Denman had 10 carries. Hey, maybe you want to mix things up. You've got great wide receivers. Eric McAllister reached 100 yards. I think it's the 3rd time in the last 4 games he's done that. Jordan Dwyer had a good game, man, Jack. But hey, maybe you want to ground and pound a little bit more, run the football.
I mean, yeah, you're going to end the year with your regular season leading rusher having 550 yards.
That starts with, and that's unacceptable. I mean, we were the worst rushing attack in the Big 12. It starts with recruiting offensive line big offensive linemen that can help set up that running game. So it's not just changing your offensive process, but it's changing your recruiting process. And I think TCU moving forward has to figure out a way to recruit better up front on the offensive and defensive lines, because that's kind of my thing. That's how I feel like you win football games. That's how you build a successful program. You start up front and then you work your way out.
Yep, I totally agree. It especially maybe that wasn't the case in the Big 12 7 years ago. I feel like you could really run around people in the Big 12 for a long time. That's why you had those big shootout games. Heck, Texas Tech didn't have an offensive line. They just had Patrick Mahomes and a bunch of wide receivers.
Yeah,
literally what they do. But It's different
It's
now,
changed.
especially with Utah and BYU and K-State doing what they're doing. Like those are teams that are going to out physical you and want
Texas
to
Tech.
Texas Tech as well now, right? Like that, like even Arizona State to a certain degree. Like those are teams that are really physical up front on the defensive and offensive lines. So you need to match that, or at least be better than that to a certain degree, because TCU is really good skill position wise and has been for quite some time. Under Sonny Dykes, they've always had good wide receivers and good quarterbacks. I've thought so. It's they haven't been failing in that regard, and so just need better offensive linemen. And the one year they did have a really good offensive line, it was not Sonny Dykes recruits. Those players were already here for the most part.
It was GPs, the
Yeah.
Steve Avila's, the Brendan Coleman's of the world. Those guys were not Sonny Dykes offensive linemen. So we'll see. Maybe a change in the process there, but I think we talked about it all here. A good win for TCU, 45-23. I wanted to, unless did you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, good win.
It was a good win. I wanted to talk about bowl game. Seth, I don't know if you kind of have an idea of where TCU might end up. They finished 10th in the Big 12. They got no help this weekend.
Everyone else won in front of them.
They got no help. Obviously, Texas Tech and BYU will match up in the Big 12 title game. Utah finished third. But yeah, Iowa State and Kansas State all finished, and Arizona State were all ahead of you because, well, they beat you. So the Frogs were one of three teams in the Big 12 to finish 8-4 alongside Arizona State and Iowa State. And hey, Arizona 9-3. How about it?
Yes, really, really good year for Arizona. Really, really good year. I have good news, or at least I think I do, on the bowl projection front.
Okay.
The winds have changed a little bit.
You're telling me no Armed Forces Bowl?
It doesn't appear that. I mean, again, this is not like gospel, what I'm about to say. Like, this is not anything that is set in stone by any means, but I do think it's likely that TCU, now that they have maybe a bit more of an attractive record, because sure, like it's up to like you could slot just based on conference record. These bowls also have the prerogative to pick who they want out of a selective pool, and TCU is a bit more of a bigger draw than for some of these bowls than some of the teams in front of them.
Okay.
So the Texas Bowl is on the table, and the Liberty Bowl is also on the table.
That would be sweet.
But I do want to caution that, like, yes, the Rate Bowl is also very much a possibility. And the Independence Bowl is in the cards, and the Armed Forces Bowl is definitely a possibility too. It could go either direction in my eyes, but there is an opportunity for TCU can play a premier bowl game. I have seen not like the Texas Bowl is a premier bowl game, but I think we can all agree that it's a much rather playing the Texas Bowl than
New Mexico
Bowl for sure. Even though they're both named after states, but the Texas Bowl's in Houston, and we could go to
Texas Bowl ring
team that is not there, in my opinion. The head coach will not be there.
Oh, okay.
And maybe half the team as well. So I will just say that it could very much be a Louisiana situation.
Lost one game all season long, and obviously their coach will not be there.
Same with Tulane.
Yeah, same with Tulane.
Coach will not be there.
So, I mean, their eyes are on the college football playoff, and the winner will have their team obviously at full strength and enjoying a matchup with, I don't know, Texas Tech, and the loser will play TCU in the Texas Bowl with half their squad.
Great
So
consolation prize. Yeah, it is. It also depends what BYU does. That is another thing that we need to keep an eye out for. It depends what BYU does in the Big 12 championship game, because if BYU wins, that opens up another slot for a Big 12 team. Big 12 teams to jump up in the pecking order of bowls. Because if BYU loses the Big 12 title game, they're going to the Alamo or Pop Tarts Bowl. Because they're not going to the playoff. But if they go to the playoff, they're not going to that bowl. So that opens up a spot for teams to slide up. And that would also mean that TCU would slide up as well. So we do need to keep an eye on that one too. So there you go.
I think BYU personally, feel like BYU should be in anyways, unless they get blown out by Texas Tech. But they went 11-1 in a Power 4 conference. But I understand other people's arguments, and hey, if they lose, they didn't do themselves any favors. So it's in their hands. They just got to go beat a really good Texas Tech team. But
yeah, I'm just speaking the reality of the situation right now.
No, I agree. Yeah, I do agree that if BYU loses, they're not gonna put them in the CFP, which is unfortunate, but
probably not. For what it's worth, let's see where we got BYU here. I'm looking at an ESPN article. Again, this is not gospel. I haven't had the time to make my own projection yet. I was going to do that later in the week. You can read about it on TCU on SI when that comes out later this week.
You can.
Alamo Bowl is where BYU is going, and then you peck it down. Pop Tarts Bowl, rest of the squads. So we'll see. We'll see where TCU ends up. Again, very likely could be a bad one again, but it also could be a better one. It honestly just depends too. Like if TCU is presented the offer of the Liberty Bowl, do they accept it? I think, wasn't that what happened last year?
I think so.
Yeah. They denied it and took the New Mexico Bowl instead, which was dumb. I'll call it like it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So when will we know?
We will know on December 7th, day after conference championship game. It might take a little while after the playoff field is revealed. They won't trickle out immediately, but we will know by December 7th.
Okay, so in 6 days, we will know where TCU is playing in their bowl game. An 8-4 season. It's crazy. Look, before the season started, we predicted that TCU would go 9-3, both of us. I had them losing to Kansas State, West Virginia, and Arizona State. So 2 of those losses were right. But I think the way in which the Iowa State loss happened, if they had gone 9-3, I think it's insane to think about it, because it's like one win really makes that big of a difference in how you view your season. I mean, look at Arizona. They are 9-3, and a lot of people like, dang, Arizona had a really good season. And you look at Arizona State, who's 8-4, and you're like, well, yeah, they dealt with injuries, but maybe not the season they were looking for. That's just the difference in college football. It's part of the reason why 3-loss teams will not be in the playoff, and most likely.
We'll see about that one.
And 10-2 teams likely draw have a better chance of getting in. It's the difference in college football. So it is what it is. I mean, for me, I don't feel amazing about this season. They ended it strong. They started off strong and they ended the year strong. Everything else in between was pretty forgettable. And I think TCU should have a higher standard. I know It's the first time they've won 8+ games since 2015. That's cool, but um, I think next year needs to be a whole lot better, and some changes might be happening this offseason.
Yeah, what those are, we don't know. We'll document them here, obviously. We'll come to you and talk about it. I expect some changes to some staff. I don't know where, but there will be. There has to be. If there's not, then like they're just really going to run it back again. I find that really hard to believe. I think these people are smarter than that. So I expect some changes. What those are, I don't know. For any of the rumors about Sonny Dykes leaving, I think that those are not based on any truth either, to be quite honest with you. I just don't know where that would be. I think TCU is a better job than most of the places that are open right now. And heck, a lot of places aren't even open right now. So, but the ones that are open, like that, Sonny Dykes would be a legitimate candidate for. Where they would take him. Like Penn State is not taking Sonny Dykes. Let's be serious here.
What?
Despite what that one guy tweeted, and he was quickly rebuffed by much of the internet. I think Josh Pate quote tweeted it and said, "No, God, no," or something like
that. Was it not Derico?
No, it was some Penn State guy.
Oh, okay.
Who said Penn State's mystery candidate is Sonny Dykes, and everyone was like, "Whoa, where's this coming from?" And that was quickly this is not founded in any
he got community noted
whatsoever. Yeah, he got community noted. It sparked conversation though, so I'm happy with it. Speaking of what, Penn State, hire someone, please. It's Monday. Signing day is on Wednesday. Can we get this together? And I don't know if you've seen Penn State's recruiting class. It is falling apart. It has been falling apart for a long time. So,
yeah, but, I mean, every school around them is hiring. I mean, they hired their guys. LSU hired some guy. I don't know if you've heard, but they hired somebody.
No, and I didn't hear about that. I don't follow stuff like that on Twitter. I totally was not just completely immersed in my phone for hours on end, just staring at it. Eyes really sore from looking at blue light for so long yesterday.
Yeah.
Just
Florida
constantly
got the guy
on Twitter.
Yeah, seeing the latest drama. Yeah, Florida got their guy. Arkansas got their guy. Penn State, Colorado State got their guy.
They wooed away Jim Mora.
And Penn State is we have to hire a coach?
Well, it's funny, right? Because UCLA hasn't hired anyone, but there's pretty decent rumblings that it's going to be James Madison's Bob Chesney. Pretty much, that appears to be not a done deal, but the winds are heading in that direction. But with Penn State, it's I haven't heard a single rumor of who. It feels like either this is the tightest ship ever run. We have kept this lock and key, or we are wandering in the wilderness with no direction. There's no alternatives.
Yeah, vibes are not good. James Franklin is living it up there over at Virginia Tech, and Penn State still doesn't have a head coach. So,
yeah, I thought they fired him when they did to get ahead of the pack.
I know, they were one of the first teams to do this thing, and now they're one of the last teams to find a head coach. So, I don't know.
Do you know what I've heard? The rumor? That's pretty founded. There's been actual reporting on this. They're waiting after the Big 12 championship to talk to somebody.
BYU's coach?
Kalani Sitake.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
I don't think that's a fit whatsoever. To be completely clear with you right now, I don't think that fits at all. I don't think he's ever lived west of the Mississippi, east of the Mississippi River. I don't know. I don't know about that one.
I don't know anything about him, so yeah.
And I also seen some people like, man, BYU's just not going to be able to keep him if Penn State offers him all that money. And I'm like, listen, BYU, I don't know if you've seen the payroll on their basketball team right now. They have money.
They have money. They are doing just fine. Yeah. I don't know. I don't see that fit, but you never know. It's what makes this time of year so chaotic and crazy. And I think we can all agree this calendar has got to change.
Nah, keep it like this. It's fun.
keep the drama, keep the craziness. Okay, so I think we pretty much got through everything when it comes to TCU football. Again, I know the regular season is over, but a lot is still set to happen here in Fort Worth. We'll talk about the bowl game when it comes around. We'll have like a season recap, maybe bring in a couple people to talk to get some fresh perspectives on TCU football season, transfer portal news, all that good stuff. So TCU football will not go away here. What will be ramping up, though, is TCU basketball. We will talk about them later in the week. The men's team had an incredible feast week, beating Florida and Wisconsin. So we will discuss that as well as their upcoming week. They're going to play Notre Dame on Friday, so that's a huge matchup. And they play UNT. We'll also talk about the women's team that continues to roll. They're undefeated. So basketball will pick up, and we will still stick with football. Plenty of stuff going on in Fort Worth. The soccer team's in the Final Four. Goodness, shout out. What a great win over Vanderbilt.
What a great, hey, Diego Pavia was busy in Knoxville. Couldn't save him.
Could not save him. Could not save him from a game-tying goal with 4 minutes left. The cardiac frogs.
Cardiac frogs.
Let's go.
Can we just like go out and beat FSU just like just easy?
Let's not wait until the final 5 minutes to score a goal. Please. Let's get ahead early. But we will be tuned into that. That'll be a lot of fun. So tons going on. Not to mention volleyball's heading to the big dance. So tons going on in Fort Worth. I've said that like 20 times now. But that'll wrap things up here for this episode, recapping TCU's win over Cincinnati. You can follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube page, or listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, all at Believe in TCU. You can also follow Seth and I on Twitter to get the latest TCU updates, reading our articles when episodes drop, all that good stuff. So for Seth Dowdle, I'm Zion Trammell. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. And as always, go Frogs.